Hey guys, so in today's video I am going to be doing a review of Blumhouse's Fantasy Island movie and a little get ready with me at the same time. Spoiler alert, this review is going to spoil everything in the movie. If you thought this movie was going to be horror, gore, I'm using this palette, horror, gore, Fantasy Island, people getting killed, chopped off limbs, everything, you are in for a non-treat because that wasn't the premise of the movie at all. It opens up with these individuals coming off of a plane and they land at this island, which is Fantasy Island. And it's supposed to be a place where like all your dreams and all your wishes and all that stuff come true. So yeah, it opens up with that narrative. We have a young girl who's Melanie. She lands on the island and, her fantasy is revenge on a high school bully. And then we have Gwen, which is this like probably mid-30s woman whose fantasy is, what was her fantasy? Is to go back in, to have like a redo. And then we get to Patrick, who is like this military guy, and his fantasy is to be a hero. Then we have the two brothers, JD and, what was his name? JD and Weaver? I think Weaver? No, Brax. Yeah, Brax, who's also known as Tattoo. Formal nickname as Tattoo. And they arrive and their fantasy is to have it all. So as the guests get there, they are greeted by, these, I guess, servants. Not servants, but the people at the hotels who like the concierge and all those type of people are greeted there, and they're all looking very creepy and like Lestery looking, so. And then they get to meet Mr. Warwick, who that's the host and the main guy in the island. Sort of starts right away. I believe the first people to have their fantasy is JD and Brax, the brothers, and their fantasy is, to have it all. So Rorik brings them to their fantasy, which is this huge party, like Project X type party, where like pool party, where like everyone's in their bikini, everyone's looking fabulous, hottest men on earth, hottest women on earth, drinks, games, fun times. I think, okay, this might not follow in sequence, but the next person who I believe starts their fantasy is Gwen, and that's the not the young, like the mid-aged woman. And her fantasy starts off with her, I guess her ex-boyfriend who was trying to propose to her, using orange here, who was trying to propose to her, but she had said no the first time. So she's the only one who was really like skeptical and like, how did you get this exact replica of him? And like, this is crazy. This is just pretend. The next person whose fantasy starts is, I believe it's going to be Patrick, and that's like the army dude. And he, of course, wanted to be a hero. He bumps into like a troop. He's like in the jungle, I guess. It's actually Venezuela. And he bumps into this army and they're like, who are you? Let's take you back to our captain. I'm going to be fast forwarding a little bit in this movie. But while he's in the jungle, he bumps into this jungle man, bumps into this Damon guy, and he's not a guest. He's just someone the only person on the island who's like, you have to get off this island, come with me if you want to live type of situation. And he's all like, what the heck? But no, nobody listens to him. And so the guy gets, Patrick gets, he goes off with the troops who's like the captain in that troop force, is actually his dad. Um, his dad had died in battle, so that's what makes him wanting to be a hero. So the last person to get their fantasy to begin is Melanie, and that's sort of, I would say she's the main character. So she starts off with her fantasy. She goes down this elevator that's riggedy griggedy. First of all, if the elevator is stalling on its way down, I don't care what kind of fantasy island this is, I ain't going in this elevator. But she goes because she's all excited. And then she gets to like this control room, and then she sees her bully, Salone, which is this young blonde woman who's, they always the villain. She gave her a hard time, yada yada. So she sees her and she's like, wow, these are really good graphics. I didn't like the part of the movie where they kept making Tupac references for the hologram. It was just like, that line wasn't funny at all. That like, it just wasn't necessary. She presses some buttons and she gets electrocuted a little bit. And she's like, oh my God, wow, that's really real. And then like she presses another button and water gets dumped on her, which she says that the girl in high school dumped toilet water on her during her semi-formal dance, very Carrie-esque. I was like, this is a Carrie movie. And she starts pressing some buttons and it reveals like this sex tape that Sloane, her high school bully, has been like cheating on her husband. And then throughout that, she presses another button which allows her to post on Salone's Facebook of this video of her cheating on her husband. And I was like, okay, like this scene, this part of the movie, I was like, okay, it's going somewhere. Like, it started off, I'm like, okay, this is a good one to start with. It's going somewhere. And then she does that and she's crying, and then she gets a phone call from her husband's like, where have you been the past 2 days? Like, is this where you've been? Like, hooking up with this man at this hotel. And then that's where Melanie was like, 2 days. And she's like, oh my God, this girl has been abducted. She's actually on this island. Okay, so once Melanie realizes that Salone is actually on the island, this guy comes in who was her therapist, Melanie's therapist, after she went through the whole traumatic ordeal of being bullied. I don't mean to quote it, like being bullied is very serious, and yes, people do have trauma, but if you don't work on that trauma, you're really gonna be stuck in it for life and wanting to go to Fantasy Island and like axe murdering your bully. That's not the message we're trying to send here. The therapist, which I'm like, how is this big old Saw-looking, hostile, type of man your therapist and not a personal trainer? I didn't get it, but he has to fit somewhere in the movie, right? So her personal trainer begins to bring out, like the whole dentist kit, starts medical kit, and begins to try to cut off, I guess, Melanie's arm, Salone, her bully's arm. And so she's like, no, stop, stop, stop. She starts pressing buttons and eventually electrocutes him. And he falls to the ground, and she takes this chair and smashes it through the window to break free Salone. So Salone's all like, oh my God, like, Melanie? First she says, this is the classic part. First she says like Meredith. And she's like, that's not my name, Melanie. It's like, damn girl. Like she says the wrong name. But she's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I was kidnapped just like you. Let's get out of here. Good cover. And then so while they're trying to escape, they bump into Damon again in the jungle. Like in the forest, I guess. Not a forest, it looks like a jungle. And he's all like, fights off their attacker, which was Melanie's doctor again. So then they start to follow Damon, and Damon starts to spill the beans about, oh, I've been on this island, and this island first starts off really good, and then it becomes twisted, and you have to get off this island. We have to, you know, reach out to the world and tell them about this island. This is where things start to go sour. So the two brothers, Brax and JD, begin to get like attacked by people in like pig masks, clown masks. Very much reminded me of the Purge. Like people in the Purge mask start coming up to their big house party, and it's like, where's the cocaine? Where's the money? I was like, wow. So meanwhile, Gwen, after she said yes to her man's proposal, she wakes up the next morning. Of course, she's very skeptical of everything, and she's like, this is not real, you know, this isn't gonna last forever. Well, now fast forward, they've been married for 5 years. They have a little girl, and they're playing on the beach, and she's like, oh my God, this is everything I wanted. How is this possible? But she's all like, but I'm not deserving of it. It jumps next to back to Melanie, Damon, and Salone. I'm using this orange, this yellow. It jumps back to them in the jungle. So they find this cave, and in this cave holds like the hidden gem of the island. They find this like thing, I guess, like this rock that has like a flat screen on it, basically, that's showing images of the people's fantasies, right? And they're like, this is the water from this rock is how people are, like, this is its secret, how they get their fantasy and how they stay, like, you know, just in their fantasy, and how you get just manipulated and all of that stuff. The water from this rock is how people are, like, this is its secret, how they get their fantasy and how they stay, like, you know, just in their fantasy. You know whose storyline I totally forgot about? Back to Patrick. Remember the army guy? So during this time, Patrick is, I guess, doing all army types of stuff. He told his dad that, okay, you sacrifice yourself and you die for your troopsmen. He's like, his dad becomes cowardly and is like, okay, now that I know, let's both of I run off and I won't have to die. But Patrick is all like, nah, I'm not gonna respect you anymore if you become cowardly. So he's like, now that I'm here, the mission that you were on will change. They begin to take their journey off to the spot where his dad died. Next, fast forward again, we go back to Gwen in the hotel. Gwen starts having reflections on, she's like, okay, this really wasn't my deepest fantasy. And she started telling Rorik that this wasn't my fantasy. There's actually something else I want to redo it. She said she was in a fire in her building and somebody died in that fire. And she said she could have saved him, but she couldn't get to him in time or something. She couldn't, so she feels guilty for that person dying. Gwen's fantasy starts again. This time, Gwen starts running through her old apartment building, and while she's running, she sees, okay, it's like a scene of like huge fire and all of that. And while she's going through that, she sees Brax and JD running down the staircase, and it's like, come on, get out of the building. So she realizes, oh my God, I can't help. Let me run outside and get help. When she runs outside, she sees a police officer and it's like, we have to go back in the building. My neighbor upstairs is still there. The officer turns out to be Patrick, the army guy. Like, Patrick was having like PTSD. He has PTSD from, it's not clear what scenario Patrick got his PTSD from, but he starts panicking. He's like, no, I'm not going into the fire. So Patrick, who's panicking and having his PTSD moment, doesn't go in the building to help. So Gwen starts running back in to try to help her neighbor, and she can't make it. She starts to have like smoke inhalation, like, you know, when your lungs get filled up with smoke and all that. So she passes out. she's the one who realizes, like, this isn't my fantasy. If I couldn't save the person, then this wasn't, like, it's not supposed to happen like this. We go back to Brax and JD. Patrick, who's with the troops, start to storm the house that JD and Brax are in. And then they bump into each other and they're like, what are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing in Venezuela? He's like, we're not in Venezuela. Like, we're on the island. And then that's where they start to click, like, oh snap, like, what's going on here? And a bunch of shooting. So, Patrick's dad ends up getting shot and dies, really tragic. And there was this grenade, and Patrick jumps on top of it and sacrifices himself. So Patrick is somebody who actually dies. Everyone's so sad. And then before this, during the shootout, I'm all over the place. During the shootout, JD gets shot and dies as well. So everyone is sad and upset. Melanie and Stallone are still with each other. Then we have Brax, who's devastated. His brother got shot. And then we have Gwen. So they're all like, okay, we have to go into this cave. I don't know what brought them to this cave, but they all went into this cave once again where the magic crystal is, or the magic water is. And I put on my lashes. So they were all trying to figure out how they were connected. And they were like, we're all coming from this fire. The only person that wasn't connected to the fire was Stallone, who was an actual person that they brought to the island. So once everyone did their like backstories, people started to get stabbed in the cave. And then we find out, here comes the twist of all twists, which I sort of figured out as soon as they started seeing this burning corpse in the cave. And as soon as they revealed his face, I was like, okay, I know who that is. In the way beginning of the movie, when everyone was getting to the room, Melanie had put a picture up of her and this man on her bed frame, and she was looking at it all solemnly. So I instantly thought either the guy broke up with her or he's dead. As soon as they showed the burning corpse, it was the guy from the picture, which turns out to have been Melanie's boyfriend. Can't even say boyfriend because she went on this date with this guy one time and he's the love of her life and she's doing this all for him. There you have it, folks. It turns out Melanie was doing this all for him. Why, you may ask? Because the night she was supposed to go on the date with this guy, I forget his name, but the night she was supposed to do I have it written down, his name? What was his name? Nick. I do have it written down. Thank God for notes. The day she was supposed to go on this date with Nick, he didn't show up. She had got herself all glammed up and ready. And of course, someone who's bullied is all self-conscious. And she's like, oh, of course, why would a guy want to go on a date with me? He stood me up, blah, blah, blah. No, turns out he was the upstairs neighbor to Gwen, who she was trying to save, and who Patrick, the police officer who rejected the help, while JD and Brax was leaving through the fire exit, and the person who burned in the building was Nick. Melanie's soon-to-be husband, baby father, love of her life, her soulmate, that she would do all this for him. So she wanted to seek revenge for his death. When I tell you I wanted to leave that theater, let me tell you I wanted to leave that theater. I was really disappointed. So while I'm debating to leave the theater, they're like, okay, how are we gonna stop Melanie? Obviously, Melanie's like, I'm gonna have to kill all of you because he died. Not the solution, but the solution she came up with. So they're all like, how are we gonna stop her? She's stabbing everyone. She's not gonna let us leave the island. So the island has to grant your wish. And the only person who's not a guest on the island is Salome, the girl who she brought to seek torture on. So Salome wishes that Melanie gets to be with Nick, the guy who burned. So she wishes he never gets burnt, I guess, and she's able to be with him. Then Melanie gets dragged, and not like dragged verbally. She gets snatched from the pool of water from this like, once again, this like tar figure drags her into the water, and lo and behold, we're all saved. The villain is dead. Rejoice, hooray. All right, guys, so there is the summary of the movie, now my review on it. I'm a huge horror movie fan, and as I mentioned, I don't think it can be classified as a horror. Like, it wasn't, maybe I'm desensitized, but it wasn't horrific. Maybe supernatural thriller should have been, but not classified as a horror. If the previews were different, I probably wouldn't have gone to see it in the theater. Meanwhile, you know, I go see almost every movie. Every movie that's horror, every movie that's action, every movie that's sci-fi, every movie that's comedy. Oh my God, I go see every movie. Besides the point, I'm not into like romances. That's like, ugh. Ugh. No one has time for that. If I were to give this a Rotten Tomato rating out of a percentage out of 100, I would say this movie for its horror element and thriller element, definitely like a 50%. Honestly, like most of the scenes expected, most of the graphics, it's like, okay, wasn't too scary. Acting, you know, the only thing that really carried it through, which, you know, I love a good M. Night Shyamalan is very good for this, a good plot twist. Like, I love a good plot twist. If the movie has nothing else, let it have a plot twist. That's it. So that's what carried the movie, and I would say I would rate it at like 60%. All in all, the movie was a good 60%. Okay guys, this is a final look to this. If you liked this review video and liked the look in it, please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.